Hello, my name is Michael. I'm the Managing Director of Talessio, and today I want to introduce you to our micro apps for Cornerstone. Micro apps are, roughly speaking, plug-and-play extensions within Cornerstone that enrich Cornerstone with additional functionality that might not yet be there without disrupting the core platform. The problem we want to address with that is quite simple. Very often, we do see that there are customer or also country-specific processes that are hard to cover with the standard functionalities. One example, for example, in the area of recruiting could be the German Works Council process. What we also do see are requirements for analytics or visualizations that are hard to cover with Reporting 2.0. Maybe not because they are that fancy, but they are quite special. Let's assume a compliance dashboard, for example. And sometimes there are simple workflows like batch editing, which is missing. That's more from the admin perspective, less from the end user perspective, but still it's missing. Overall, we do see that clients that cannot support extended use cases with Cornerstone often struggle to see it as a long-term platform and solution. That's what we want to address. And how do we do that with our micro apps? Our micro apps provide high performance. They run server-side, so they are not just added through the Google Tag Manager as a layer above the already existing functionality, which would have limited access to data. Our micro apps do have full access to the data in Cornerstone without time-consuming API calls. We utilize our solution talenttrends, a replicated database for Cornerstone in the backend, which is also available separately in the Cornerstone Marketplace. The apps do fully run within Cornerstone and within the context of the logged-in user. So the full concept of security, permissions, visibility, and access rights can be applied. And technically and commercially, they can run as a SaaS solution hosted by us, or they can even be hosted on-premise within the customer's environment if GDPR requirements suggest to do so. Now, how do they look? Let me give you two examples what can be achieved through such micro apps. One example could be a skills dashboard for a manager. Here, I'm logged on as Carrie. And if I, as Carrie, want to see the skills in my team, I can quickly get a visualization of the skills matrix with my employees and with the skills they have. The numbers reflect their proficiency. And if I want to filter for high proficiency, I could also do that. Of course, I can also see the overall distribution of skills in my team. The bigger the box, the more people do have that skill. Or I could compare individual profiles of my employees and see how they do in terms of certain skills. If I want to do so, I can also take a look at advanced visualizations like the relationship between an employee, the proficiency level, and the skill. But what is overall important is that this whole thing is flexible. I can choose whom to visualize, so not just my direct reports in this case, but I could also go down the additional levels in the manager hierarchy. And whenever I choose someone else, of course, the visualizations adapt and change accordingly. I can, on the one hand, see skills according to the training models, for example, but I could also change to visualizing the skills that people declared in their profile. And of course, you can see that's a completely different picture. Or, and that's where the database comes in, I can very, very quickly also work with the overall data that is available. So for example, if I want to focus on individually selected skills like customer satisfaction, like teamwork, which is down here, and let's say time management, which I think is here, I can very, very quickly search the whole database. As you can see, the page is responding very quickly. We do have access to all the data. And again, the picture looks completely different. This, of course, does not only work in pure Cornerstone, but also within a Galaxy environment. Also here, we do have access to that functionality if we integrate it. And of course, also here, it's going to work with the whole data that we have. Another use case, more on the admin side, could be a batch editing process. So let's assume we do have events and sessions, and we need to update payment data for participants so that this data can then be transferred to the payment system. In this example, we have built a micro app that simply allows an administrator to select an event and to select a session. Then there's the list of participants, also loading very quickly, as you can see. And let's say these three, they shall be charged according to a certain PO. Actually, they already have been charged in this example, and this was done beginning this month. I can quickly click apply. 3 records get updated, and the remaining record can also be updated, this time with different data. So this person needs to be charged in the future. And with one click, that whole data is saved, in this case in transcript custom fields. I do not need to edit one record each again. These micro apps provide us with the ability to extend Cornerstone securely in a fast and context-aware way. We can build dashboards for advanced data analytics or any custom use case. And the interesting thing, I guess, is that it's fast to deploy, it's fully integrated, and in terms of security, enterprise ready. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching.